I hate reading super lengthy stories with a million different additional details that are supposed to create atmosphere, but actually just distract from what's being really said. So I'm gonna try and be as brief and straight to the point as possible. So, the parents were going to a party and were supposed to be home around 9ish, but rang me saying that they wouldn't be back until midnight. So it was my job to put the kids to bed, which I had no problem with. They are the sweetest, most well-behaved kids I have ever met. It got to about 9:30 p.m. and the kids brushed their teeth, got their books, and went to bed. I tidied up, sat down, did a little homework, I am 17, and then FaceTimed my friend. This is a religious family, and there are some crosses on some of the walls. I heard what sounded like someone knocking on the front door. It was about 10:15 p.m., and the parents usually message me when they are almost home, and of course have keys. So I automatically suspected it was not them. I checked, and there was nobody at the door. So I just sat back down on the couch and was carried away talking to my friend. Then the same knocking, literally. They have guinea pigs, and I started to suspect it was those guys nibbling on the cage or fucking around. So I went and checked, but they were in their little home thing. I still believed it was them, but as I was leaving the room, I saw the wooden cross that was nailed at its head on the wall lift from the bottom and drop 3 times. As though some force was lifting the bottom half that wasn't nailed and dropping it like a door knocker. I just froze, and my friend was like, What? What? I just tiptoed, ran back into the living room. I don't know what the fuck caused that. I started to think maybe it was one of the kids jumping from upstairs, causing the walls to shake. But the cross is on the wall between the kitchen and dining room, and that is directly above the parents' room, in the bathroom. So unless they were in the parents' room or in the bathroom jumping up and down in threes, it doesn't really make sense. Plus, I was almost adamant they were asleep. Perhaps, coincidentally, the homework I was doing on philosophy, which can often be very anti-religion and anti-God, in fact, I was actually writing an answer to the question, is the Western idea of God illogical? Probably not the most respectful homework to do in the house of religious people, but hey, maybe that was God making his presence known. Okay, I believe I experienced something thousands across the worlds have reported. About 2 weeks ago, I woke up at 2 a.m. in a cold sweat. My eyes gravitated towards the open door of my bedroom, which I always close, where I saw a silver-blue wisp of smoke form a loosely structured apparition. However, it drew closer to me, where it turned into a far more defined figure. A man, over 6 feet tall, in a black, business-like trench coat, wearing a black wide-brimmed hat with a featureless face, was staring over me. I suddenly felt an immense pressure building on my chest as he developed a pair of crimson red eyes staring with malicious intent. His face came closer to mine, and the pressure increased. I thought I was going to die. Then suddenly, he disappeared, and the pressure stopped. It was scary as fuck. Okay, so this happened this morning around 6:50 a.m. I was getting prepared for school, and I get my clothes ready. My dad comes and telling me that he's going to drop off my mom at her job and he'll come back to pick me up. I say, okay, and shut my door and lock it since I need to change into my school clothes. I hear my mom and my dad walk out of the house and close the front entrance door. About 10 minutes go by and I'm fixing my hair in my room. The door is still locked. I suddenly hear the door handle in my room shake and turn rapidly, as if someone is trying to get in. The whole door started to shake as well. I immediately run to open the door thinking it was my dad, and find no one there. My dog then starts to bark in my direction, and she rarely barks. I stand there for about 2 minutes trying to process what just happened, and then I hear my dad unlock the front entrance door and walks in. Before I could say anything, he asked me, "Are you ready yet?" I chose not to tell him what happened since he was mad that I wasn't ready to go. My mom also occasionally hears her name being called while she's asleep, but no one would be in the room. I've gotten a bit used to the paranormal events that happen at our house, but this one was more extreme. This may seem trivial and insignificant, but I wanted to post it here to see what people have to say. I don't know if this is even the right place to post this. I wear a big, thick silver Cuban link chain around my neck. For the past few weeks, as I am lying in bed with my eyes closed, the chain slowly lifts up, then drops back down onto my neck. It doesn't come unlatched or wiggle around or anything. It just simply lifts up and then drops back down, as if someone is grabbing it between two fingers, gently lifting it and then letting go. It is a heavy chain, and there is no wind or draft in my room. I don't think it's sleep paralysis because there are neither changes in my thoughts, mental state, nor feelings of stuckness or paranoia. Plus, it literally is a 2-second event. It happens. I think, weird, and nothing else happens, and I go to sleep. I have not noticed any other strange occurrences in my life as long as this has been happening. Literally nothing out of the ordinary. And I am not afraid of it whatsoever. It just makes me really curious. I believe in spirits and whatnot, which is what my first thought was. But I guess this one is just interested in the chain and nothing else. Also, it has never been a violent yanking, just a gentle lift and a drop. Maybe someone could explain this to me. So, I have this older wooden closet in my room. During the day, it is completely fine, and I never get any bad vibes from it. However, at nighttime, I have had some weird experiences with it. I have only had this when I have forgotten to close the closet door. The door locks with a key and cannot be closed without locking it, as the door will swing open again. If I go to sleep with the door open, I will usually wake up in the middle of the night, probably around 2 to 4 a.m. If I look over at the closet, I get a strong sense of dread and immediately go to close it. On one occasion, I got sleep paralysis, which I usually never get. On another occasion, I woke up facing the wall and thought I heard footsteps coming from the closet. My boyfriend has also experienced waking up in the middle of the night while the closet was open and getting really bad vibes when he stayed over. This is probably all psychological phenomenon, but I might try and smudge the closet to see if that helps. I've been wanting to ask other people about this for a while, but been worried about the outcome. For the last 4 to 5 years, I have been witnessing a shadowy figure in my parents' bedroom. I like to say a bit more about it, but there really isn't much I can say, other than it resembles a human, but has no features. The way it holds itself is very rigid, and overall it is massive. The only defining thing which sounds oddly specific and rather strange, but the figure always appears to be wearing a 1950s bowler hat, but as if it was fused to it and part of it. It's safe to say that the first time I saw it, I freaked. I ran straight to my mom and told her what I had seen. She is a big believer in anything paranormal, me not so much, and told me that it is nothing to be scared of, and she didn't think it was anything malicious. After about the 10th time seeing it, I got used to seeing this rather large human-looking thing just sitting on my father's side of the bed, almost staring straight towards the door. I even started seeing it so much that I would greet it, so I wasn't so afraid of it, but I never felt truly safe. About a year after the first time I saw the figure, I spoke to my sister about it, and she told me she had been seeing the same thing from time to time, and I finally felt like someone actually believed me. That did not mean that I would stop seeing the figure at all. 3 years later, in the year of 2020, I was still seeing this shadowy figure on my father's side of the bed, and I could pretty much shrug it off at this point. No longer afraid of it, and to be very honest, I almost completely forgot about it. Then around February of 2020, things started getting weird. I, for whatever reason, stopped seeing the figure altogether. Consciously, I didn't really care or think about it, but it was always in the back of my mind. Shortly after I stopped seeing him, I dealt with episodes of sleep paralysis. At first, I thought nothing of it and thought it was where I was on my new medication and was rather stressed. But slowly, the sleep paralysis started to get weird and slightly terrifying. I would wake up and feel like I was being watched by something, but I could never really determine where from. This carried on for weeks, and each time, it was the same thing. Until one day I was lying down feeling exhausted at this point. I knew what was going to happen when I fell asleep, and I didn't really care, so I laid down and prepared for the worst. Once again, I think I wake up, but this time I know something is wrong. I feel like I'm being held down to the mattress. When I feel like I'm being watched again, I try to frantically look around, but I can't, and that's when I noticed it. The figure I've been seeing in my parents' room for years now was standing at my door facing me. The only way I can explain how the thing looked was I felt as it had eyes and they were directly staring into me, but there were no eyes visible. After what it felt like hours of just being stared at by this thing lunged through the door and I woke up instantly. Since then, I haven't had any sleep paralysis episodes. I thought that would be the end of everything, but I then started to see the figure again in my parents' room, but it was no longer sitting and looking out the door. It was standing next to the side of the bed which my mother now slept on, since they swapped sides. I have only seen it move closer to the door since. I get the feeling that this thing is no longer harmless, and I'm kinda lost on where to look for any sort of answer. I understand that people may not believe me, but I am just looking for some sort of information that may help me figure out what the F is going on.